Good morning and welcome to Manna in the Morning. Manna in the Morning is an outreach of the 70 West Church of Christ, and I am so grateful that you have decided to start your morning this morning in a study of God's Word. I hope it is that you have marked Ephesians chapter 6, but if not, that's where we're going to be this morning, and we're going to start with verse number 13 as we continue to go through those that armor of God. For some reason, that left my mind there for just a moment. Ephesians chapter 6 is where we'll start this morning. Let me encourage you also to go down below us and click like and share. That will put our broadcast onto your news feed and allow us to be able to approach more people because of your friends and your family than we normally would. You can be a part of our outreach program if you'll simply just go down here and click like and share, and we certainly do appreciate that. It's our goal realistically, and this might seem far-fetched, but it is our goal to be able to teach everyone across the world about Jesus Christ and his plan to redeem man back to God. So give us that opportunity. Let us have a forum on your news feed that we can teach the gospel of Jesus Christ there. And don't forget about Blaze 2020, October 23rd through the 25th here in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Go to hotspringschurchofchrist.org for more details and registration and all those good kind of things. All those questions and everything can be answered right there. We surely would love to be able to see you here on that weekend. Turn over to Ephesians chapter number 6. As we look at verse number 13, it begins by saying, take that whole armor of God, you may be able to withstand the wiles or in the evil day, and having done all to stand, stand therefore. Many times when we read through 13 and 14, that's how we read it. But linguistically, that's not how it's written. You see, in verse number 13 where he says, and having done all to stand, in verse 14 when he begins by saying, stand, therefore, it holds the same velocity behind it as a drill instructor screaming at a platoon, attention. Everyone get up, everyone stand at attention, here we go. And sometimes when I preach it, and most of the time when I teach it, that's exactly how I teach it, that's exactly how I read it, and it is scary. Having done all to stand, stand, therefore. He's calling everyone, he's calling those of the army of God to attention. He's saying, everybody get ready because we're about to fight. This needs your undivided attention. And so when he begins, he says, stand therefore, having. Now, before you go any further than that, you can't stand at attention. You can't be in that army without having these things on your body. Stand there, get ready for the fight. But in order to do those, you're going to have these things. You're going to have your loins girded about with truth. And it's interesting that he starts there. As he's looking at the Roman soldier, he begins to look at what they are first putting on, their underlying clothing that they are putting on. And he notices that they are girded in their loin area with this cloth, and it is a first of all it is a girding together, a pulling everything tight together. But secondly, it's the most intimate areas of defense. This having your loins girded about with the Roman soldier has his underlying defense over everything else. And it's interesting that God would tell us have our loins girded about with truth. Our underlying defense for everything that we do is based on truth. If it's true, I'll preach it. If it's true, I'll live it. If it's true, we'll sing it. If it's true, we'll pray for it. And if it's not true, then the church has no use for it. That's not what's going to save man, but having our loins girt about with truth is what's going to save us. Under everything else, truth is always there. Having your loins girt about with truth and having on the breastplate of righteousness. The first thing a person would notice about the Roman soldier would be the ornate detail found in his breastplate, in that covering from the top portion of his shoulders to his waist. That whole one plate there would be covered in ornate material, and it'd be a thin metal, but be thick enough to stop arrows. It'd be thick enough to stop daggers. It'd be thick enough to stop some spears. And he said, once you've been girded with truth, you need to put on righteousness. Once your life is underlaid with truth, then on top of that, you put right doing. That's righteousness, right doing. And so as you and I look at that idea, truth is always found within our lives. And then next, it would have to be doing those things that are right and that lead to truthfulness. And have your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Did you know that the Roman army was the first army in history to issue standard shoes? That seems so very odd to us, as if everyone doesn't have shoes, as if everyone doesn't need shoes. Oh, yeah. Can you imagine fighting in those first centuries there and having someone's toes and feet exposed to where you could chop half a foot off, chop a toe off? There is a covering on this shoe that covers up the exposed portions of the foot, so that the soldier can go in, the Roman soldier can go in, and he can be confident in not having to kind of pull his foot back so it doesn't get destroyed. God said you need to put on your shoes of preparation. That's kind of a hard one. And here's why that's a hard one. I can see and know truth. And I can see and know that truth so much that I live by righteousness through it. But when I have to prepare myself by putting on my shoes of preparation, that's going to take work, isn't it? Someone, somewhere, is going to ask me, but why do you do this? But what about that? But what about this other thing? And you know what they're asking me? Why do you do what you do as a Christian? And listen here, I had better be able to give them an answer. 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 15. Providing that answer for all those who question us about our faith. We've got to be able to give those answers. We've got to be prepared. Just like putting on your shoes, you've got to be able to do those things. And we're going to pick up tomorrow, our last little bit of time. We're going to pick up tomorrow in verse 16, and we're going to notice the final things that this soldier would have on that would prepare us to be good soldiers of Jesus Christ. Because as we look at our lives, that's really what we want to be, isn't it? We want to be good soldiers in the army of God. We want to be profitable servants for the master. We want to be seen as useful before God. I'm so grateful you took this time to study with me this morning, and this has been Manna in the Morning.